Now, coming on towards the topic of skeletalization and the damage by the predators. Now, as I've already told you, almost about when 12 to 24 hours have passed on the death, the late changes occur in the dead body. That includes the putrefaction, that includes the adipocere formation, or the mummification, depending upon the environmental conditions in which the dead body was placed. Now, all of these processes basically gives a clue towards the time since death, the position of the body when it was dead. So all of these contribute towards the solving of the cases. But all of these changes can be intercepted by the presence or the damage which is caused by the predators. The process of skeletalization by the predators is basically comes in action if the body is in the outdoors, especially when this barrier is quite slowed down. But if it is placed in any exposed environment, the predators are always there. The scavengers are always there. They can be cockatoos, they can be vultures, they can be foxes, larval infestations, parasites. All of these contribute towards the predation of the dead bodies. Now, this section basically deals with the skeletalization and the damage by the predators. This process of skeletalization is discussed in detail in this section. Then we'll move on to the types of the predators that are involved in the predation process and the types of damage that they cause. That is very important. Now, what is the process of skeletalization? Skeletalization is basically defined as the process of decomposition whereby the soft tissues of a body gradually disappear after death to leave a skeleton. As the name already indicates, skeletalization refers to the formation of a skeleton. So the soft tissues are gradually disappear and only a skeleton is left, and that is basically the final stages of the decomposition. So this is basically how we define the process of skeletalization. It takes place at various rates, depending again upon the environmental conditions, whether it is a humid environment, whether it is a dry environment, and or whether the body was immersed in the water. So all of these things have to be kept in mind. Now, it takes place at various rates depending upon the conditions. In warm conditions, the skeletalization can occur within a matter of months. So warm conditions basically promotes the process of skeletalization. In other words, in temperate climates, the process usually takes about 2 years. So basically, as the temperature lowers down, the process of skeletalization is slowed. Now, the post-mortem damage by the predators. Predators are always speeding up the process of skeletalization. So they are a mainstay of the skeletalization process. Now, the types of the predation varies with the geography, depending upon which type of environment the body is placed in, the type of creatures that are found, the type of predations that are found in that environment basically contributes to the types of predation. The season is always a mainstay, and then finally the environment, whether it is a hot environment, whether it is a dry environment, or whether it is underwater. All of these contribute towards the types of predators that will come into action. Now, this is basically a slide which is basically overviewing the type of predators that are found in our environment. We have basically the different eating habits of the animals have been highlighted over here. We have the herbivores, of course, that prey on the green plants and seeds and the fruits, etc. Then we have the carnivores that eat herbivores and other carnivores as well. And the insect parasitoids. They are the mainstay. They lay eggs or near the host, which is subsequently killed and it is eaten. Then we have the parasites. The parasites basically live on or in host and depend on the host for the nutrition. So these are basically and then we have finally the cannibalism. The cannibalism is basically the predators and the prey of the same species. So there can be a lot of predators and there can be a lot of cannibalistic activities as well in a lot of environments, and they can come into action. Now, all of these things, that is the herbivores, the carnivores, the insect parasitoids, the parasites, and the cannibalisms, they come in actions, except for the herbivores. They don't come into action because they eat only on the seeds, the green plants, etc. The rest of the eating habits of the animals basically lead to the predations of the dead bodies. And they will eventually infest on the dead bodies, and they will basically speed up the process of the skeletalization. Now, the post-mortem damage by the predators. Now, the post-mortem damage by the predators, as I've already discussed to you, they can mislead to a lot of investigations. For example, if we're calculating the time since death and the skeletalization process is already masked up, all of the post-putrefactive processes, all of the adipose ear formation, the mummification, the saponification, all of these processes have been masked up. How can we calculate the time since death? So in open environments, in bodies which were exposed to open environments, the predations come into action, and any investigator or any medical legal officer that is performing a post-mortem on such dead bodies have to consider all of these environmental factors, all of these predative factors that come into action, and they can speed up the process of skeletalization. Most active tissue removers. Now, all of these things are also of medical legal significance. The tissue removers are, the most active tissue removers are maggots. The larval stage of the blue bottles, which is also the other name to it, is the califora. Califora is used for the larval stage of the blue bottles. And finally, we have the flies, which in other senses we can call it the muscas. So all of these types of predations come into action, and these are the most active or the fast removers of the soft tissues of the dead bodies. So in this section, basically, we dealt with the skeletalization process. That is basically the final end stage of the post-mortem decomposition that takes place in a dead body. What basically speeds up this process of skeletalization? All of the relative sections can be skipped down due to the predators. The predators are the mainstay in exposed bodies, not in the buried bodies or the bodies found inside. They are not exposed to the predations, but still there can be some sort of predations, and we have to keep all of these factors in mind. Thank you for watching sqadia.com.